What up, YouTube? Man, this is awesome. I get to start my reviews of the F6B all over again because I got the Deluxe now. Okay? So it's legit. So going to do a 500-mile review and just why I love this freaking bike. Why is this so much better than the non-Deluxe? Why is the 16 better than the 13? Guys, I hate to tell you that, but it's true. Unless you do some modifications to your 13. This thing is awesome. The first thing I'm going to talk about is something that I haven't mentioned yet, I don't think. And it's these bad boys right here. How about some ceramic pipes? Okay? And when I jumped on this for the first time, and I thought I'd read this somewhere, but then I remembered reading about it somewhere, is these things are throatier, man. They're deeper. Okay, I don't know. Let's take a look on the inside of this. I think it looks a little bit different on the inside. I don't remember this pipe sticking out of this back here. So I think that's where that sound comes from. But it's a deep bass. And when I first brought this home from Charleston, Latson, South Carolina, I'll tell you what, this thing, when I was pulling it, and it was at night and I was under the full face, but when I was pulling up beside cars and I'd let off the throttle, you'd hear that. It was so cool. And I was like, wow, that's different. And I knew, and I was a little nervous about it because I think everybody knows I got tinnitus, however you say it. The doctor calls it tinnitus, I think is the proper way. But that ringing in that left ear is what I've got. And I guess too many rock concerts in my youth, but your ears never forget. But anyway, so it started ringing here about, God, it's been ringing for 10 years now, it feels like. But it's okay. You learn to live with it. If you got it, don't worry about it. You'll learn to live with it. Sleep and everything else, you'll be fine. But anyway, I thought that I was going to get some drone. Okay, I was nervous about that. I went underneath the hood, I call it, under my full face helmet. I'm driving, and it has that nice tone, and it is a little bit beefier, but there was no real drone at highway speed. So I was really happy. Unlike, if you put those 6-packs on there, and I've talked about this before, those Vans Hines, that's what my old one came with. I had to get rid of them right away because, oh my God, my head felt like it was going to explode after the first, 5-10 miles on there underneath a full face. Horrible drone. So you have to buy that whole loop system to get rid of it, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, just money, money, money. So, plus those things are pretty expensive anyway, but nothing against Van Hines. Some people, I loved how they sound. They were fun. And this is almost, these stock aren't quite as fun. And when I say fun, pulling up beside somebody and, throttling, I know it's immature. I'm an immature 55-year-old, but it's so fun to get that sound and just rev the engine and all. That's just a blast. So the Vans Hines were funner in that respect, but these really do the trick if you don't like that drone effect. So that's the first thing I wanted to talk about. The second thing I wanted to talk about is the Omni Cruise. And I wanted to talk about this, and you notice I've got the cruise control and the Omni Cruise. So why, you might ask? Well, I was driving down the road without my Omni Cruise the other day, and I freaking missed it. Yeah, I've gotten so used to it. Why? Because when you got to do something on the fly, scratch the back of your right side or, well, I'm not going to say that, but you know what I mean. If you got to do something with that right hand and you want to do it fast, it takes a lot more time to come over here and hit your set. And if you know this, and we'll talk maybe a little bit more about this cruise control, it takes a minute after you hit that set button for it to engage and kind of move into it. So I had to get used to that on the highway. Whereas this, when you're pulling back and you do that throttle lock, Omni Cruise throttle lock, that breaks away real easy, very safe. But when you use that, it's instant, okay? And you can do something really fast. It's not good for long-term highway cruising. Believe me, I use this all the way back from buying the bike. But this is great for in town, got to do something quick. Just go ahead and light into that Omni Cruise. So I think I'd still get it. And look how long that this thing took me, about 15 seconds to pull off the old bike. Well, maybe a minute. And about another minute to put on this bike. It's so easy to install. Definitely worth it. Go get the Omni Cruise, even if you got cruise control. It's fantastic. Of course, you got to have your cramp buster. This sucker's actually wearing out a little bit, okay? I guess I've had it for a couple, 2-3 years now. So I think this is losing some of its stay because I've had to, you know how you have to circle this thing around and get it to lock in. But I think it loses some of its grip or something. Now, maybe, hey, speaking of which, maybe a nice little rubber piece in there would be great, but you want to turn it that way so you can twist it. You can't do that. But the cramp buster is a must-have too, okay, on any bike. But do your Omni Cruise, even if you got your cruise control, definitely worth it. Guys, I did a whole video, and I hope you've watched it. You want to see some more, you know, why you keep your day job, at least for my situation. Watch my install video, and these pretty freaking comical. But these puppies look great, and I think they're really going to do the job. The summer, I don't know yet. It's been too damn cold for me to even think about, you know, doing that and opening them up. But look how those stick. And it just, these hand wings from National Cycle, so much better than my knockoffs. And I hate to say it, guys, but Baker wings, I think they're both, USA. But these just have that ratchet, you know, you feel that click, click, click. I don't think the Baker wings have that. I think they slide. Now, I mean, some people might like that and some people might not like that, okay? But it seems like you have to set those Baker wings and the knockoffs just perfect to get that rotation, where these take a little bit longer. No doubt when I was riding the other day, I had to get down and do a little bit more, so it's not quite as quick. I don't want to turn those too much either, because I think eventually that ratchet, if you can see that right there, those teeth are eventually, they got to wear down, I would think. But you really have to set that up exactly right. So watch my install video and make sure you put it together exactly like the instructions say to get that nice ratchet effect in different settings. Next thing I want to talk about, guys, is a little bit more. I did a whole video on shifting. And I did that because of what happened to my old bike and what I think I did to it to cause that hiccup, burp, whatever, in second gear after you downshift. And, you know, I came to the conclusion that it was probably just lazy shifting, not really jamming that thing down in second gear or up to second gear. I know there's tons of times when I would start out in first and I just didn't upshift hard enough, and it popped out of second gear and just went right into neutral. So embarrassing. But I think that happens to us all. I'm not letting it happen on this bike. It hasn't happened once, okay? Make sure you firmly shift that up. So, yeah, I did a whole video on that. Check it out. I think it might save your transmission on a GL 1800 or this F6B. Just make sure you're really firmly shifting. I think that's the best part. But a couple other things after that video that I thought about more and more. And the one thing, and I said when you get it down, you know, when you're just sitting still and you try to put this clutch in and you're moving this shifter down, you know, trying to get that in the right gear, putting it in first. My advice is try to get to the gear before you come to a stop that you're going to want to end up in, okay? And this might go with every bike again. I'm still kind of a rookie, I think, guys. I've been riding again for 6 years, but I drove in my teens and early 20s. But so this is probably, people are listening to this video going, well, shit, that's common sense. Well, it's not for anybody who just got a gold wing or something or just started riding again. So try to get down to, and why do I say that? Because if you notice and you're stopped, and you try to shift, you know, pull that clutch in and get to neutral or get to what gear you're trying to get in, downshift at a stop, it's so clunky. It feels like you're ripping through the shit. It feels like you're ripping gears, okay? And I think maybe, is that something that I did that caused that hiccup burp when I'm downshifting in the second. I don't know. Again, I think it's more the firm shifting down in the second. Make sure it's tight into that gear that caused that. But so think about that next time you're pulling up to a stop sign. Am I in the gear that I want to be? Okay. If you're rolling or coming through a yellow light, do you want to be in second gear? We'll get to that gear before you pull up. And I think you're going to feel it's going to feel a lot better than having to pull that clutch in at a stop and just click, 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 trying to get into that gear. The second thing I didn't mention in my shift video that I think might be important too is engine braking. Okay. I love to do that. And I'm hoping that wasn't the cause of that second gear hiccup burp. But I guess it could have added to it, maybe. I don't know, but I love to help engine brake and save my brake pads, okay? But I can't feel that's too good on your transmission. But I never redline it, okay? So if I'm into third and I go into second, it's going to be, it's still going to be just around 4 or 5. I'm not ever into that red zone. So as I'm engine braking, and if you don't know what that is, that's of course when you're going fast and 6. If you're in 5th gear, they don't have 6 gears. You're going in 5th, and you're coming up to a stop sign, or you're getting ready to pass somebody or whatever, and you downshift, and you got that engine braking. It slows you down because you shift into that lower gear. Could that have caused it a little bit? I don't know. I'm trying to minimize some of my fun riding a little bit more because, again, this is my forever bike and keeper. So trying to really preserve that transmission, and it might help somebody else out there. Hope it does. The next thing I want to talk about, and I don't know, I think my other motorcycle may have had this, my 13, but I'm not sure. Okay. I don't remember seeing this all the time. And that's that CS Auto icon. You see that little like Saturn looking emblem right close to the AVC. Now, we know that the other one had the automatic volume control, and you could set it low, medium, high. Well, this has, and I read what it was all about in the manual that came with the bike. I love that there was actually a manual in there. But it says that little emblem there stands for like a surround sound, okay? And you can set that on low, medium, high and get that surround sound effect for the stereo. I was listening to some music today that I heard, I love my Rush, man. What guy out there doesn't like Rush? Unsubscribe. I love some Rush. Girls hate it, guys love it. Just the way it is. Watch I Love You, Man. That movie, funny as hell. But that really tells the whole story. But that really let me hear some things that I hadn't heard before on my other stereo. So I'm pretty sure it's not on the F6B 13. Drop a comment if I'm wrong, okay? I think that might have been an upgrade that they did later on. Another thing, there's no recalls on here. I thought I was going to get a free brake fluid change. I've got to start doing that. I'm going to stay tuned on a brake bleeding video. It's not the easiest thing to do in the world on these F6Bs, GL 1800s. You got to do some different steps for the front, the lever, and the pedal brake. So I couldn't find anything on it online. So I've got my owner's manual for my 2008 GL 1800. Still, I think it's 8 to like 12, but I don't think they changed anything in the pattern which you got to do. I think the link brake system is pretty much set up the same. So again, if I'm wrong, drop me a comment because I'm going to be doing a video on it. I hope I don't mess anything up, but I'm going to follow that same pattern. This does not have the ABS on it. So stay tuned for the braking video there. All right, guys. I guess I lost my place there a little bit, but let's keep moving on, okay? So why else do I love the Deluxe here so much and on my 500-mile review more than the non-Deluxe? And gosh darn it, that is big time. Huge. Now, again, you can put that just like you can put the kickstand on there, put the rest on here, and try to emulate this bike, but those suckers blow the GL 1800 that I had, the 2008, away. Now, sometimes they don't warm up like you want. When I come home from that trip, it was getting down into the early 40s, or I'm sorry, late 40s. I was at about 47, 48 degrees, and then it got back up into 50 as I was coming back into Charlotte. But and I felt sometimes that at top speed, you know, the bike was just putting power into different things. So I didn't get the full heat coming out of these grips. But man, in normal conditions, just a quick ride to, you know, Wendy's or something like that. And I love to run errands in this really fast. I don't have to put on my winter gloves, man. It's awesome. You know, this sucker on high will fry your hands at a stop sign. And that's what I like about heated grips. I want you to frickin' fry me, man. I want to turn it down if I want to turn it down. And this has got some great settings on there. To find, 3 settings, it's perfect, okay? You'll find something that you feel good at. But around town, with that grip heater, it stopped me from having to use my big old gawky winter gloves. Now, I love these things, and you've seen my review on these probably too. These fly igniters, they're great. And again, not tethered stuff here. I don't have any heated gear that I hook to the thing. I eventually would like to get to that someday because I know that's the ultimate warmth. But I'm just not, I don't do enough touring, guys. I got 3 kids. How can you really get away? But those heated grips for around town, and, even if there's a sweet spot, I think, on the highway, you get about 60, 65, and you're going to feel even really nice and warm on there. Of course, who does 60, 65 on the highway? But I know I don't. 84 in a 70, peg it. But anyway, the heated grips are phenomenal. Cruise control, guys. Man, I've talked a lot about that in the other videos, so I'm not going to get into it too much, but I love having cruise control on the 16. 15's got it, 14 doesn't, 13, of course, doesn't. So the cruise control is awesome. But you got to get used to it. When you hit that button, you got to wait for a couple seconds before it loads up, and then it brings you right up into it. So you're going to have to keep your hand on the throttle a little bit, unlike using the Omni lock or Omni Cruise. Okay, so great for the highway, great for around town. You get the best of both worlds if you put those both on there. Yeah, guys, so I think that's about it. I think where I lost my place a little bit there before is there's no recall on the 16s for the brakes, okay? If you get a 13, you buy something new or whatever like that, and I don't think the dealers probably do that if you bought something. Well, there's no 13s left, come to think of it. But if you get a 15, if there's a 15 out there, I think it was the 13 to the 15 F6Bs, you got a brake recall out there, make sure you get taken care of, and it usually will save you some money because I got to do my own brake bleeding on this sucker. And again, it's not fun, but so you get a free brake bleed, and they put in a couple of modulators, front, back, whatever. So check that out, but there's no recalls on the 16. We found that out through forums and stuff. So, man, guys, if you're contemplating 18, 19, 20, or a 2016 F6B, go get this one. Okay, if you can find it, go get it. It's so fun and so pretty, I think. IMO. But, yeah, I have a friend, a subscriber that hits me up, and he's got 3 bikes he's contemplating. He hasn't rode this yet. He's going to go ride it next week. He's got a Guzzi, Moto Guzzi he's looking at. He's got the GL, what is that, BMW, the 1600B. They came out with that that looks like a decent change. They changed those. The main thing I saw on that B is they're trying to make that those saddlebags look more like this one. I went and looked at a GTL 1600, really sidetrack here, and I went and sat on it. I was liking it, and it looked good, and it felt good. Of course, it's more of a front, you're leaning forward a little bit over that GT, especially the GTL, I think, relaxes you a little bit. But I was looking at a GT, and I opened up that damn saddlebag, and it was not that right there. Okay, I mean, these are so well made, and just how it holds together. It had one of these, and that was it. So it just went boink, popped open. It was like, I don't know, the BMW just seemed like it just wasn't put together as well. And I told other people, you know, I'm looking at GTL or something. They're like, junk, you know, right away. So. But anyway, I hope you have good luck with that. Those seem like you're looking at some good bikes, but wait until you actually, my daughter's turning on the light on me, telling me it's time to come in. All right, Eddie, I see you back there. So, but I think I covered about everything. Of course, you can put these lights on everything. I didn't have these on my other ones, so I love having those, man. They're so much fun to use too, and they turn into blinkers and everything. But I did that in other reviews. I'm trying to cover stuff, guys, that I haven't talked about yet, and I think I've nailed it all. Again, let me know any comments, any questions on this, and I think that's about it for now. Later, YouTube.